Hi there, this is Vadim Michalenko from Online Training for Everyone. And in this quick video, I would like to share with you how to get prepared for employment assessment test. Companies use pre-hiring tests to help identify the right person for the job. Typically, employment assessment test is a computer-based test with the job-specific questions. Most of the time, questions in the test ask you to find solutions to the puzzle, calculate math problem, solve business challenge, complete pattern, or do a lot of other things to determine cognitive abilities of the candidate. In this video, we will look at the variety of different questions you might see on the test, and I'll share with you answers and explanations on how to solve them. We picked questions specific to the provider that should give you an idea of what to expect on employment assessment test. If you like this content, please give this video a big thumbs up and consider subscribing to Online Training for Everyone. This tells us that you need more content like this, and we'll make sure to deliver it to you in the future. And now let's go ahead and jump straight to the questions. Let's look at the interesting and tricky question we frequently see on the test. Determine the missing shape. You're presented with the sequence of 5 shapes. All of them are pentagons, and in each one, arrow points in a different direction. There are 3 shapes with arrow. The 4th shape has a missing arrow, and this is what you need to determine. And then there is also a 5th shape. And you have 4 different choices. All of them contain pentagons with arrow pointing in a different direction. Do you think you know the answer? Now might be the good time to pause this video to see if you can come up with the answer on your own. Did you come up with the answer? Let's see if we can solve this challenge together. To solve pattern questions, you need to determine the sequence in the pattern. And in this particular one, we have a sequence of items moving counterclockwise. To determine the position of next arrow, we need to determine the pattern. As you can see, the position of the arrow in the next figure is determined by the sequence number. For example, in the item 1, arrow points to 1 o'clock, to the first angle of the pentagon. For the second position, you need to move counterclockwise and move it into the next corner. For the next one, you need to move 2 steps, because the sequence would be 2, because this is the second shape. And once you move to the second shape, you move to the 8 o'clock, in the 8 o'clock corner of the pentagon. As you continue moving, your next move would be jumped through 3 corners of the pentagon, and you will be at 12 o'clock. And this is the position of the arrow we're trying to determine. So the correct answer here is choice B, pointing at 12 o'clock. And if we continue the sequence just to verify, to make sure we did it correctly, we can add 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, which points us back to 1 o'clock, which is item number 5 represented in the original question. Hopefully you've nailed this question and maybe even figured it out. And I hope that my instructions give you ability to answer these types of questions in the test. Here's the tricky question from the real test. What type of figure can you imagine by combining all the shaded parts in a separate one block? And you have 4 different choices: shape, letter, number, or animal. Do you think you know the answer? Now might be a good time to pause this video to see if you can come up with the answer on your own. Did you come up with the answer? Let's see how we can solve this challenge and get to the solution together. The tricky part here is combining all 4 blocks right in your memory and using your imagination to come up with the final answer. But when you combine the blocks incrementally, you add darker circles into one single image. And final image here in the sequence represents all darker circles added in one image. And as you can see, the shape of the darker circles represent letter U. So the correct answer here is choice B, letter. Hopefully you've nailed this question and now know how to answer these types of questions on the test. But in case you need more questions or practice problems, please make sure to check out my Aptitude test ebook in the description section of this video. Some of you might find this question tricky, but regardless of whether you can solve it or not on your own, You will be excited to learn the solution to this real-life assessment test question. All numbers shown have similarity except for one. Which number does not belong to the group? And you have 4 different choices. Choice A, 13. Choice B, 23. Choice C, 33. And choice D, 43. Do you think you know the answer? Now might be a good time to pause this video to see if you can come up with the answer on your own. Did you come up with the answer? Let's continue to see how we can solve this challenge together. The solution lies in understanding very simple math concept, the concept of prime numbers. You see on the left the grid of numbers from 1 to 50. And all the numbers that are considered prime numbers are highlighted in red. What is prime number? Prime number is the number that you can only divide by itself. You cannot divide it by any other number. For example, 1 you cannot divide by anything but 1. Same for 2, 3, 5, 7, and etc. Out of all the numbers presented in the question, 33 is not a prime number, because 33 can be divided by 3 and also can be divided by 11. So the correct answer here is choice C, 33. Let's recap. All numbers in red presented in the grid are prime numbers. Prime number cannot be divided by any other number except themselves. Possible answers are 13, 23, 33, and 43. And the only number that is not a prime number is 33. 33 is not a prime number because it can be easily divided by 3 and by 11. So the correct choice here is choice C, 33. Hopefully you've nailed this question and now know how to answer these types of questions on the test. And now, here's the question for you to try. Which choice of numbers makes calculations accurate for the expression below? And you have an expression. 2 numbers in parentheses multiplied by a third number equals 21. And for 2 numbers in parentheses, you subtract second number from the first number. And you have 4 different choices. Choice A, 782. Choice B, 967. Choice C, 985. Or choice D, 761. Feel free to pause this video and try to solve it. And if you came up with the answer, feel free to post it in the comment section of this video and I'll give you my feedback. Thanks for participating. The question here is quite tricky, but I would like to show you the solution, which, as you will see, is quite simple. The shaded part of the shade, follow the order. Find out what is the missing part of the square, and you're presented with the 3 by 3 square. And one box inside the square on the lower part in the middle is missing. You need to pick a replacement square out of 4 possible choices. Choice A, B, C, and D. Do you think you know the answer? Now might be a good time to pause the video to see if you can come up with the solution on your own. Do you think you know the answer? Let's continue to see how we can solve this challenge together and get to the correct solution. As usual, to solve these types of questions, you need to look at the sequence. And sequence is determined by where inside dark triangle connects to the inside walls of the rectangle. So for example, if you look at the left and middle line, this is where the sequence is, you see that it starts with upper left, so we have upper connection and then left connection. Then goes to lower right, so we have lower connection and then right connection. Then goes to upper right, and then goes to lower left. And then this is the missing box where we need to find the missing square. And you see that the pattern here restarts. Upper left was the first item in the sequence. So the next item in the sequence would be upper left again. So the correct choice here is choice A, upper left. Hopefully you've nailed this question. Some of you might find this question tricky. But regardless of whether you can solve it or not on your own, you will be excited to learn the solution to this real-life assessment test question. Which of the following letters does not belong to the group? And you have 5 different choices. Choice A, letter P. Choice B, letter T. Choice C, letter B. Choice D, letter J. And choice E, letter G. Do you think you know the answer? Now might be a good time to pause this video to see if you can come up with the answer on your own. Let's continue to see if we can solve this challenge and get to the solution together. Before we jump to the solution, I would like to give you a clue. Always look for patterns. And the pattern here might be sharp edges versus rounded areas for the letters. Now let's go ahead and jump to the solution. When you look at the patterns, you can notice the similarities in the letters for the given choices. All letters are a combination of the curve as well as straight line, with the exception of one. The letters P, B, J, and G presented here, they all have combination of curve as well as straight line. The only letter that does not match this pattern is letter T. So the correct choice here is choice B, letter T. Hopefully you've nailed this question. Let's take a look at some planning tips to see if they might be helpful for you to get ready and pass the test. Let me share with you how to get prepared and use your time effectively during preparation for the test. One of the first things you need to do is determine what types of tests are conducted for the type of job that you're applying for. Typically, this information is available from employers, job application, and sometimes from the test providers. After you understand what types of tests are conducted, you need to realistically assess your situation to determine how well are you prepared for the test. You might have applied for this type of job in the past, and you might have taken the tests in the past, which will give you a good idea of what you're looking for. Sometimes things might be very new to you, and you need to understand what is the testable material, how do you prepare for the test, what are the preparation sources. Another important consideration here is how much time do you have to get ready. And at that time, you need to create a plan, potentially put it on a weekly schedule to determine how much time can you spend and allocate for test preparation. You also need to make sure you make study a priority and you close the gaps strategically. For example, if you know what the gaps are in the materials that you don't know, you want to make sure you target those particular areas that specifically highlighted on the test. You also need to make sure that you strategically use shortcuts. You might realize that you don't have all the time to prepare as fully as you would like, and you might need to omit some materials to minimize the damage. The key is to make sure that you omit material that may be not used as part of the test, or less likely to be used during the test. You also want to make sure that you set a reasonable schedule for the preparation. You want to make sure that you put on a schedule all other commitments that you have, and then find the available time to get ready and prepare for the test. And the last but not least step is to execute with the discipline and reevaluate as needed. If you find out that something is not working, it might be a good time to reevaluate and see how you can achieve target results and still complete all the goals that you set for yourself. All right, I have a tricky question for you, which you might frequently see on the test. The cool thing is that you might be able to solve it, or in case you don't, I would love to show you the solution. Which of the following triangles comes next in the sequence? You have a sequence of 5 triangles, and one triangle in the middle is missing, and you have 4 different choices to pick the right triangle. Choices A and B represented by gray and black triangles pointing toward the top, and choices C and D represented by white and gray triangles pointing to the bottom. Do you think you know the answer? Now might be the right time to pause this video to see if you can come up with the answer on your own. Do you think you came up with the answer? Let's continue to see how we can solve this challenge together. Before revealing the solution to you, I would like to point at 2 patterns that we see in this problem. The first is the pattern of colors. You have black triangle, white triangle, and then missing triangle, then black triangle and white triangle. So something might be different from black and white potentially here. You also have a patterns of moon and star, and moon and star, they move inside the triangle. So you see moon and star in the leftmost triangle, then you see moon and star on the top, then you see moon on the top and star at the bottom, and then you see both of them, moon and the star, at the bottom of the triangle. So now let's jump to the solution. We have already looked at the pattern of the colors, and the sequence of colors is constant and is not changing. And we also reviewed the rotation of the shapes inside the triangle. The star shape is always in the next corner of the following triangle and is always followed by the moon shape. The assumption here is that the color of the missing triangle is different from the colors of triangles already shown, and the only color that is different from black and white is gray. This is why the next triangle is gray, and you would need to pick correct pattern for the triangle. So the correct choice here is choice A. There are 2 gray triangles here, choice A and choice D, but there is also a third pattern pattern that I did not mention because it will make things very obvious. And this is the pattern of pointing. You see that the first triangle is pointing upward. The second triangle points down. So the next triangle in the pattern will be pointing up as well. And the only gray triangle that points up is choice A. Hopefully you've nailed this question and now know how to see the patterns and solve these types of challenges on the test. And now, here's the question for you to try. Please choose which of the following comes next in the sequence. You're presented with the sequence of objects, and the fourth object in the sequence is missing. And you have 4 different choices presented here, and you need to select 1 out of 4 choices. Feel free to pause this video and try to solve this challenge. Did you come up with the answer? Feel free to post it in the comment section of this video and I'll give you my feedback. Thanks for participating. Let's see if we can solve this challenge together. Here's the very interesting and at the same time tricky question you might frequently see on the test. Which expression does not belong to the group? And you have 4 different choices. Choice A, 6 plus 6 equals 12. Choice B, 5 plus 9 equals 14. Choice C, 5 plus 6 equals 11. And choice D, 3 plus 7 equals 10. Do you think you know the answer? Now might be the right time to pause this video to see if you can come up with the answer on your own. Give yourself 10 or 20 seconds and see if you can come up with the solution. Did you come up with the answer? Let's continue to see if we can solve this challenge together. Let me show you 2 ways you can solve this challenge. First, let's look on the right side of the expression. You see that the 12, 14, and 10 are all even numbers, and 11 is the odd number, so that should give you some clues. If you look on the left side of the expression, you see that 6 plus 6 is the combination of even numbers, and you see that 5 plus 9 and 3 plus 7 is the combination of odd numbers. So expression C stands out because you have combination of odd and even numbers in the choice C. So the correct answer, as you might have figured out, is choice C. And there are multiple ways how you can look for clues to solve these types of challenges. Let's recap. All numbers in the sums of the expression are even numbers except 1. If you review the sums of the expressions, you see that 12, 14, and 10 are all even numbers, and 11 stands out. It's an odd number. So the correct answer here is choice C. Hopefully you've nailed this question. Let's look at the tricky question you might frequently see on the test. This is the pattern question, and you need to discover the last number in the sequence. Let's look at the sequence of numbers. 67, 58, 52, 49, 49 again, 58, 64, and then the missing number. And you have 4 different choices. Choice A, 52. Choice B, 64. Choice C, 67. Choice D, 70. Do you think you know the answer? Now might be the good time to pause the video to see if you can come up with the answer on your own. Did you come up with the answer? Let's continue to see if we can solve this challenge together. To answer the pattern question, you need to determine the formula. And a lot of times you can do that, but not in this particular case. I couldn't come up with the formula for this particular question, but maybe you will be able to, so please make sure to post your answer in the description of this video. But let me share with you my logic and how I came up with the sequence of numbers. If you look at the series of numbers, for example, between 67 and 58, you see that the difference is -9. If we put -9 on top in between 67 and 58, and then continue and put the differences in between the steps in the numbers, you will see that the differences will account for -9, -6, -3, 0, +9, +6, and the next number would be +3, because if we follow the pattern, that would be the next number. And that's how we came up with the answer of 67. So the tricky part of the pattern questions is that a lot of times there is a formula, but don't spend all your time on the test doing the pattern questions and trying to find the formula. Sometimes all you need to do is just to put the differences on top of the numbers mentally, maybe on a piece of paper. And then this will give you the differences in the numbers, and you will be able to come up with the final answer. So the final answer here is C, 67. Let's recap. To answer pattern questions, most of the time you need to determine the formula. In this particular case, there's no formula. So all you need to do is just put the differences between the numbers and determine the last number in the sequence. Hopefully, you know now how to answer these types of questions on the test. And if you know the formula for this, or maybe could come up with the formula, feel free to share in the comment section of this video. And now here's the question for you to try. Please make sure to post your answer in the comment section of this video. You're presented with the sequence of objects, and you need to determine which one comes next in the sequence. Do you think you know the answer? Now might be a good time to pause this video and to see if you can come up with the correct answer. Is it lightning, sand clock, hexagon, or cube? If you came up with the answer, feel free to post it in the comment section of this video and I'll give you my feedback. Thanks for participating. This question is quite tricky, but I'll show you the solution. Let's solve this challenge together. Here's a very interesting and tricky question you might frequently see on the test. Evaluate all presented equations and determine the correct answer in the given equation. So you have 4 equations presented. 8 plus 4 equals 32. 9 plus 6 equals 35. 3 plus 8 equals 31. And 0 plus 1 equals something, and you have 4 possible choices. Choice A, 1. Choice B, 11. Choice C, 21. Choice D, 31. Do you think you know the answer? Now might be a good time to pause this video to see if you can come up with the answer on your own. Did you come up with the answer? Let's continue to see how we can solve this challenge and get to the solution together. Before we jump to the solution, let me give you some tips. It is still a decimal system that we're dealing with here. And if we continue with this assumption, we can see that the sum of numbers in all cases is a little bit higher than the actual numbers in the decimal system. 8 plus 4 in reality is 12, not 32. But the difference between 32 and 12 is 20. Hopefully this gives you some tip. Now, continuing with this logic, basically what's happening is that each number is incremented by 10 before the calculations are performed. For example, 8 plus 10 is 18, and 4 plus 10 is 14. 18 plus 14 equals 32. Same calculations are done with the second, third, and fourth equations. For example, 19 plus 16 equals 35. And the last equation can be solved like this. 10 plus 0, 10 plus 1 equals 10 plus 11 equals 21. So the correct choice here is choice C, 21. Hopefully by now you know how to answer these types of questions on the test. But in case you need more questions or practice problems, please make sure to check out my Aptitude test ebook in the description section of this video. Let's look at the interesting question which tests your knowledge of math and ability to do calculations. If a student spent $110 for her school supplies and was left with a $6 change, what is the estimated amount she spent in buying the bag? And you present it here with the pie chart which shows spending percentages in multiple different categories. You have printer paper, pens, sticky notes, calculator, notebooks, papers, and bag. And you have 4 possible choices. Choice A, $40. Choice C, $38. Choice B, $55. And choice D, $25. Do you think you know the answer? Let's see if we can come up with the answer together. To solve this challenge, first thing we need to do is calculate total amount spent. And we do it by subtracting 6 from 110, which gives us $104. This is the total amount spent. In the next step, let's take a look how much money was actually spent on the bag. Pie chart typically represents 100%, and you see 36% allocated for the bag because it's represented by the dark blue color. If we multiply 104 by 0.36, we will get to the amount of 37.44. So the closest amount here is 38. Since question asks us to approximately estimate, we need to just pick the closest approximate amount, which in this case is $38. So the correct choice here is choice C, $38. Hopefully you've nailed this question and now know how to answer these types of questions on the test. And now, here's the question for you to try. Please make sure to post your answer in the comment section of this video and I'll give you my feedback. What is the new order of the objects after shapes have been switched? And you have before picture as well as the after picture, as well as 4 different choices presented. The 4 different choices reflect new position of the object based on the original position of the object in before picture. Feel free to pause this video and try to solve this challenge. And if you came up with the answer, feel free to post it in the comments so I'll give you my feedback. Thanks for participating. Let's look at the tricky question you might frequently see on the test. There are 3 senior math classes. First class has 23 female students and 18 male students. The second class has 20 female students and 24 male students. And the third class has 14 female students and 20 male students. What is the ratio of female students to the total number of students in the second class? And you have 4 different choices. Choice A, the ratio 20 to 119. Choice B, the ratio 4 to 11. Choice C, 20 to 44. And choice D, 20 to 62. Do you think you know the answer? Now might be a good time to pause this video to see if you can come up with the answer on your own. Did you come up with the answer? Let's continue to see if we can solve this challenge and get to the correct solution together. The tricky part here is that you're presented with lots of data about first, second, and third classes. But the question only asks you about the ratio in the second class. So the total number of female students in the second class is 20. And total number of male students is 24, which is irrelevant already. Plus you have data for the first and the third class, which is also irrelevant and not used in this question. And total number of students in the second class, which is another important piece of information, is 44. So the only 2 pieces that you would use is number of female students in the second class, which is 20, as well as the total number of students in the second class, which is 44. So the ratio is 20 to 44, which after simplification leads you to 4 to 11 ratio. So the correct answer is choice B, 4 to 11. Hopefully you've nailed this question and now know how to answer these types of questions on the test. Let's look at the very interesting and at the same time tricky question you might frequently see on the test. This particular question tests your imagination as well as the knowledge of the English words. What word can you form using all the letters in the box? And you have 9 unique letters presented in 9 different boxes. Do you think you know the answer? Before we jump to the solution, this might be the right time for you to pause this video to see if you can come up with the solution on your own. Do you think you figured out the answer? Let's continue to see if we can solve this challenge together. Obviously, there are a lot of different words that could be formed with the given letters. But what you need to do as part of the test is to find the word that best matches all the letters presented. You should start looking in the corners, and in this case, the pattern is counterclockwise. We have the word strategic, which is formed starting in the bottom left corner. If you start in the bottom left corner and then flow from right to left, then flow from bottom to the top, from left to right, and then end your word in the middle, you will form the word strategic. Hopefully you've nailed this question, but in case you need more questions or practice problems, please make sure to check out the Aptitude test book in the description section of this video. Are you ready for this challenging problem? Let's look at the very interesting and tricky question you might frequently see on the test. Which expression does not belong to the group? And you have 4 different expressions. Choice A, 8 plus 4 equals 12. Choice B, 8 plus 6 equals 14. Choice C, 9 plus 8 equals 17. And choice D, 6 plus 12 equals 18. Do you think you know the answer? Now might be the right time for you to pause the video to see if you can come up with the answer on your own. Do you think you know the answer? Let's continue to see if we can solve this challenge together. What's interesting about this question is the fact that we're dealing here with odd versus even numbers. you see that expression A has all the even numbers. 8 and 4 equals 12. Expression B is the same thing. 8 plus 6 is 14, all even numbers. Same with expression D. 6 plus 12 equals 18. So the expression C has two odd numbers, 9 and 17. And if you look at the answers, you can also figure it out by just looking at the answer. The answers are 12, 14, and 18 for solutions A, B, and D. And for the C, the answer is 17. So let's recap. All numbers and sums of the expression are even numbers with the exception of one. 12, 14, and 18 are even numbers, but 17 is the odd number. So the correct answer here is choice C, 17. Hopefully you've nailed this question and got to the correct answer on your own. But in case you need more questions or practice problems, please make sure to check out the description of this video for my Aptitude Test Questions PDF ebook. And now here's the question for you to try. What is the next item in the sequence? And you have series of items. Do, mi, so, and then the next item that you need to determine. And you have four choices. Re, fa, la, ti. Do you think you know the answer? Feel free to pause this video and try to solve it. And if you came up with the answer, feel free to post it in the comment section of this video and I'll give you my feedback. Thanks for participating. Here's the tricky IQ and aptitude test question you might frequently see on the test. Imagine a 4x6 shape with gray squares on the inside and white squares on the outside. It was broken into 2x2 shapes, and 3 of the shapes shown belong to the larger shape and one doesn't. Which one does not belong to the group? Do you think you know the answer? Now might be the right time to pause this video to see if you can come up with the answer on your own. Do you think you came up with the answer? Let's continue to see if we can solve this challenge together. As you might be well aware, a visual is worth 1,000 words or more. In this case, this is the shape 4x6 shape with the gray boxes on the inside and the white boxes on the outside. And it was broken down into 2x2 shapes. If we go back to the question, you see that the choice A is represented right here. If you flip the box in the bottom right corner of the screen. Choices B are in the opposite corners, and choices D are in the middle. But what you see is that choice C is not represented here anywhere. So the correct answer here is choice C. Let's recap. The large shape is depicted right here, where gray boxes are on the inside and the white boxes are on the outside of the larger shape. The shaded part of 3 boxes can form a shape using few turns, but still stay inside the larger shape. This is why choices A, B, and D are valid choices, and choice C is the correct choice, and this is the one you should be selecting. Hopefully you've nailed this question and answered it correctly. But in case you need more questions or practice problems, please make sure to check out my aptitude test question books in the description of this video. Thanks for watching. I encourage you to check out our daily question challenge in the community section of this channel. I also recommend that you check downloads in the description section of this video. Please also check out resources page on our website, howtoanalyzedata.net/resources. If you like the content, please give this video a big thumbs up. This tells us that you need more content like this. I would encourage you to share this video with other people that might be looking for the job. This will help them to get prepared and pass assessment test faster. Please consider subscribing and following this channel. We have a community of great people helping each other to get ready and pass the test. Please leave questions, comments, or suggestions in the comment section of this video. And all the best on your interview and assessment test. Thanks for watching.